AI replacing Google? That's really not the question, because that is absolutely a myth.
It's actually the essence of doom scrolling, because
Combining somewhat dark psychology with knowing how the human psyche works. And then you have yourself an algorithmic recipe for disaster in which misinformation gets spread really quickly.
today the click isn't the destination.
Even my own organic traffic is down and my sales have never been higher.
Let's say I'm a CMO and my organic sessions just dropped, let's say 20%.
Zero click does not mean zero value.
We all realize that metrics can be misleading and the AI makes it even messier.
Lazy content marketing really is over now.
What is one signal more marketers should finally start paying attention to?
The more tech we have, the more we crave human connection and potentially...
This is Adsy Talks. Adsy Talks. Adsy Talks.
So welcome everybody to Adsy Talks, the show about what happens after visibility. Now just how brands get discovered, but how search, authority, content, AI, and distribution actually becomes the business growth. And today's guest is Belinda Conde, SVP of Marketing in Datos, a Semrush company. And Belinda sits at a very fascinating intersection of search behavior, clickstream data, AI, and how people actually make decisions online today. So I cannot think of a better person to help us answer the following question. If clicks matter less than they used to, what actually matters more? So, for almost 20 years, marketing had a very clean question and equation. Rank, get the click, move someone into the funnel. And at what point did that equation stop explaining the reality?
Wow, there's a lot to unpack here. How much time do you have? Well, basically, first of all, there's a huge misconception when it comes to the funnel. When I was in university and I was studying marketing, 15 years ago, we talked about the funnel. We talked about moving through conversion stages and awareness and then consideration and all of this. And today, in today's world, consumer journeys are not linear. They move up and down and back and out the funnel and into the funnel again. And just when they're about to click and purchase something, they actually get FOBO, which is fear of a better offer. They go elsewhere. Even after they complete the purchase, they go back to awareness again sometimes. And they are researching, what is it that I've bought and how do I use it? And how do I set it up? So the funnel, in the sense of a very linear progression, it's gone. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anymore. Consumer journeys are chaotic, are fragmented, are super lengthy, especially in some industries. We're seeing days and weeks of people actually considering buying something and checking out different touch points and UCG platforms. Reddit, for instance, is absolutely huge, the amount of influence that Reddit has in real world consumer journeys. And there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of checking with AI, then checking with a different AI, doing a query in Google, going back and forth. So the beauty really of Clickstream data, which by the way, there's many different ways of calling it. There's also panel data, there's behavioral data. Essentially what it is a real accurate recollection of the events that happen on a browser. And therefore, Clickstream kind of sheds an open window into the universe of being able to shed visibility on what actually is going on with consumers online. How are consumer behaviors shifting? And that's exactly what we can see through Clickstream data, panel data, behavioral data. There's a lot of different ways of calling it. I'd love to show you a quick visual example because I know this could be quite difficult to wrap your head around. So let me just quickly pull up a real world example of a real consumer journey. This is a person, we're going to call them Marcel, that has gone ahead into a journey to try and buy a Samsung TV, and they're in the United States. This is a real world scenario of a consumer journey for somebody in the United States looking to buy a TV. And I love having this type of data because for marketeers, this is absolute gold. Especially, there's so much to think about when it comes to channel mix strategies, attribution modelings, and I'm going to get into it right now. So basically, we're going to call him, what do we say, Marcel? Yes. The first touch point happened almost 8 days and 48 hours or something like that prior to the purchase. And the first exposure in his consumer journey was Reddit, where they actually landed on a subreddit that I was just talking about. Did I just buy the best OLED TV, right? A social proof point Reddit. Then they went onto Google and said, what are the best OLED TVs, right? Then shortly after that, they went to Samsung.com and actually added a product, to their checkout page, a television, right? But they never bought it. Instead, 5 minutes after that, they decided to put that on hold and they went onto Perplexity and they searched for Samsung 77 class 4K OLED TV and the product name. And they did quite a few different queries here. They were trying to explore. 3 minutes after that, they did a similar query on ChatGPT, but they actually this time wanted to see the difference between this product name versus this other product name, again, different TV. They went back to Samsung and they actually explored through a category of TVs that they had. This is already a lot, and that encompasses social, traditional search, AI, and even, say, direct traffic to Samsung.com. And we're not even halfway through the journey. There was a break in the journey, and we come back. Marcel comes back 15, 16 minutes prior to purchase and adds finally this product into their cart. And they're ready to check out, but checkout does not happen. We've seen two failed checkout attempts by now throughout the consumer journey. The next step is Target. They get fear of a better offer. And they're like, can I get it cheaper on Target, right? So they go to Target and search for Samsung 77.
Oh my God, this is so me.
And another one, another fear of a better offer. Again, after a little bit of more time, they've been confirmed. They feel pretty secure they're not going to get a better deal elsewhere. They actually complete the purchase on Samsung.com and they buy the TV. And what happens after the purchase? They start searching for, okay, now I need a sink for my TV. Now I need sideboards to actually set up the TV. Now I need some absorbing wall paneling, sound absorbing wall paneling. And they go back to Perplexity and start to talk about what's the best wall mount for this TV that I just bought. So when marketers come to me and say, I do first touch attribution modeling, I always show them something like this. I'm like, you are attributing a lot of the weight to one touch point, which quite likely is a tiny, tiny part in this consumer journey. Equally, if you did say last touch attribution modeling, you would attribute this, someone at Samsung would attribute this as direct traffic. It is not accurate, right? Like this wasn't a coincidence that they just landed on Samsung.com. They actually started considering it all the way back in Reddit.
Yes, actually amazing, because throughout your presentation, I felt like so familiar with this, because this is actually like usually how I am buying literally anything. Like I'm not talking about the TVs. I'm talking about like anything, every little thing. I usually go back and forth between several platforms before I probably make my decision, but sometimes I postpone it like several days for it to settle down in my head, and I return it to it. So yeah, the term that you used, FOBO, is actually amazing because I knew the term FOMO, fear of missing out, but fear of better offer is amazing. I will be using it from now on.
That happens a lot. Like I said, the beauty of having Clickstream data is that we get full access to really observing what are consumers doing online and how much are they adding products to cart and not checking out. And is this something quite normal, right? Is this something that happens in 80% of purchases similar to these? Or is it something that's very rare and we're seeing this behavior only happening in 15% of the people that buy certain products? So beyond the granular details of analyzing one journey, you can, of course, extrapolate all of this data into industry level insights. For instance, 70% of people buying Samsung TVs or large TVs, they take anywhere from 7 to 15 days to complete the purchase. They normally visit AI sites, say 70% of the time, and they normally visit Reddit 80% of the time. Like, this is the type of data that I feel a lot of marketeers are missing, because of course through your own dashboards, your own analytics, your GA4s and your Tableau dashboards, that has of course very valuable information, but you're missing the context of what's going on behind your gated walls, what's going on beyond the sites that you actually have control over, that you can actually see and observe what is happening on sites that are completely outside of your control. And how can you optimize your channel mix strategies, your investment, and where do you place enough investment that would actually attribute or account for better results, depending on which industry you're in. We've seen other industries in which, say, AI touchpoints do not have as much weight. In certain industries where they do have more weight, of course. Certain industries where we get more AI overviews on Google, and certain industries where we don't. For instance, for anything related to news or science or the weather, it's quite likely you're going to get an AI overview. If it's term that it's more related to something very particular or something very niche, it's less likely that you might get one. But of course, that's changing as we speak. And every week we have very different data. And I'm just so excited to be able to be on top of this and just to basically help share this kind of information, because I don't really want to gatekeep any of this.
Yeah, it's actually fantastic how the changes that we expect to be made and the changes that are actually happening are two different things. And you've stated that Clickstream data consistently reveal that marketers almost never see inside Google Analytics or inside their internal dashboards. Can you think of a moment where the numbers suggested one story, but the real user behavior revealed something completely different?
Oh gosh, a lot of times, a lot of different times. By the way, I didn't say the marketers don't check their GA4s. I mean, I hope that all marketers are checking their own analytics. Just to clarify, what I want to say is just that Clickstream data allows you to have data for beyond those domains that you do have access to. One that I love to debunk a lot is whether AI search is taking over traditional search. And by no means that is the case. Absolutely not. I think I've got some data here. So, like I said, it's not. I see this so much across LinkedIn, and I told one of my colleagues once, I wish I had $1 for every time I come across a LinkedIn post saying or claiming that SEO is dead or that is AI replacing Google. That's really not the question, because that is absolutely a myth. There is no chance that AI is taking over traditional search. Google is still the backbone of discovery towards the open web. And what really matters now is that we need to focus on how people are actually shifting their decision making online. And like I said, beyond the journey, this is what the data actually says. Simply put, the data says traditional search is growing and AI search is also growing. They're both growing in spite of any cannibalization. So there is no cannibalization of search and no kind of spill of, okay, traditional search is growing a bit more at AI search's cost, nor vice versa. It is not the case. They're both growing in parallel. It is not a cannibalization of search by any means. It is a sign that consumers are searching more across both traditional search, Google, and AI search. So around roughly 11% of all desktop activity is traditional search. Nothing else comes anywhere near it. So AI tools, for instance, account for close to 2% of desktop activity. However, e-commerce search is almost double the rate of AI search. Why is nobody talking about the amount of searches that consumers perform directly on e-commerce sites, right? That's something that we tend to forget. Or the amount of searches that happen on social sites, the amount of searches that happen on Reddit, on TikTok, on Instagram, on LinkedIn even, depending on the topic, right? So search is not dying. It's growing. And it's growing both for AI and for traditional search and even for e-commerce search. People are searching more across any vertical.
Yeah, actually, your statement about SEO is that, I mean, like the question that everyone is asking. This is one basically of the reasons this show was created, because I was reading the similar post across the LinkedIn and other social networks, and it was really funny that people are trying to like capitalize on the trending of AI, but they completely ignore and they never mention about that the majority of search is still belongs to Google, that the thing that you've mentioned, the both searches are growing, not cannibalizing each other. So it's actually a really cool insight, because I often hear that AI will replace everything, AI will replace all of us and stuff. So maybe something will happen, but the journey, the time that this will take is like so long, and the change is actually happening not right now. The change actually is like will happen over time, not at the very moment, and it's not like even 1 or 2 year, maybe it will take even more. So it's actually really cool that you debunk this myth and you show the reality that actually is behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I don't blame a lot of the people that take part in the narrative of traditional search is dead, AI is replacing search. At the end of the day, that is really what social media algorithms favor. So the algorithms are built in a way to favor controversy, to favor statements that are scary, that drive people into fear, into kind of rethinking what they're currently doing, and specifically things that upset you or things that disappoint you or things that are scary to you are way more likely to get shown to more and more and more people as opposed to things that you agree with. If you get shown a post that you agree with and it's very nice and normal, the most you'll do is give it a like and move on with your life. However, when you get shown a post that scares you, infuriates you, upsets you, or something that you feel that you have the obligation to dismantle, for instance, a post about SEO is dying, that's when you're really going to engage with it. You're going to start commenting. You're going to start sharing it. You're going to start sending it to your friends and family on other platforms. And that's what the algorithm is feeding off of. The algorithm says, wow, a lot of people are spending time on these kind of posts, and there's so much more engagement. And I want to favor users staying more and longer on my platform. So let's just show everyone a lot more of these kind of posts that are very infuriating or that are completely false or that are things that are not accurate. So that's how misinformation gets spread around a lot. And that's basically us feeding into the algorithm to keep it basically just distributing things that are not accurate. I am really grateful that for our data and our data reports, like this Q2 state of search data just came out this week, we get a lot of organic exposure. Exactly because a lot of people use our data to debunk myths that are coming across online and on social media. And also we have Rand Fishkin, who is a person I really admire, and he's a great friend of ours here at Datos, helping us spread the word, who is an incredible person. But ultimately, I'm just not shocked that these kinds of narratives are the ones that get spread around a lot more than the actual data, as you can see on the screen.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing that you've mentioned about the type of content that people are engaging, it's actually the essence of doom scrolling, because people are more likely to continue scrolling and engaging in content with like slightly negative context than positive. And yeah, that is why that's sad but true. And speaking about the Rand Fishkin, we just recently had a podcast with him. Like, he is an amazing person. I admire him, and this is like easily one of top 3 of my favorite podcasts that I've ever had. So yeah,
Amazing.
I'm a bit jealous that you are able to work with him. And yeah,
Yeah.
and speaking about the visibility in marketing, I know that visibility isn't always a progress. So where do you see that teams confusing these two?
They're confusing visibility with progress.
Yeah. The, because everyone like is trying to get like to gain visibility, to be visible, to for the more people to see you, but it's not always the way to progress, to succeed.
Yeah.
How do you think?
I think we also need to keep in mind that visibility doesn't necessarily correlate to trust, right? And for your visibility to have the effects that you want, you need to also have trust, for instance. One out of many other factors, but one being, oh, let's just focus on getting more visibility. You cannot just rely on the visibility itself. It's all about more just community building, building trust, and building good UCG content, for sure, user generated content, and having Reddit on your site, for instance, is really important as well. So the amount of traffic that we see goes to Reddit is insane. And I really do believe that this goes beyond optimizing for search, optimizing for visibility. It goes to show how I believe humans are starting to also go back to the roots of, I want to hear someone's opinion, like a real human opinion. I want to hear from somebody that has had an experience with this company, or that has bought a similar product to what I'm going to buy, or somebody that's an expert in this field to like kind of give me a piece of advice. And I am seeing a lot in the data how consumers will use AI tools as assistants in their journeys to kind of filter through information. But the amount of referrals that go to Reddit from AI tools is huge. And the amount of just general traffic that goes to Reddit is huge. The amount of people that are attaching Reddit to the end of the queries on Google is outstanding. So what does that tell me? That tells me that trust has to go hand in hand with visibility. Of course, visibility alone is already great, and getting cited and getting seen is already a huge first step. But if you don't already have a very solid brand visibility campaign that goes alongside just getting the community engaged and getting reviews and getting people, consumers, the audience to talk about you on Reddit, then it might not have the effects that you're looking for. At the end of the day, if we think back to when clicks were the currency, a click on its own also does not guarantee a purchase, right? And if anything now, with zero-click search on the rise, we're seeing, of course, a lot of marketers panic because the traffic is going down. But what we're also seeing is bounce rates going down. At the end of the day, did you really want that click if all they were going to do on your website is get a quick answer to a quick question and drop? Probably not, right? Like, they might as well just get the answer they want or they need it directly on an AI overview, and then actually come to your site when they're ready to make a more meaningful engagement. Consumers are still needing the products that we sell. Consumers still need software, still need goods and services, and still need products. It's just the way in which they get to the product is very different. And that's where visibility, trust come into play. I've actually got some data here on click specifically, since we're talking about zero click.
Yeah, that's true. Because usually people hear the zero click and they immediately think less traffic and they get scared. So yeah, it would be cool if you could debunk this
It's true,
myth.
of course. That's what it means. Like, zero click means less traffic, but it shouldn't scare you. It shouldn't be scary. at the end of the day, if you think about it, the amount of traffic that you're losing to an AI overview, it's quite likely the bad quality traffic that was just going to skew up your metrics and that was just going to increase your bounce rates. So, like I said, if somebody really doesn't need to click to your website because all they were looking for is how much is 2 times 10, right? Like, or what's the weather today? Maybe they don't need to click on bbc.com/weather. Like, all they just wanted a quick answer to a quick question. A consumer that is looking for a product, a service, if they don't immediately click to your site and land on your blog, that's probably because they're exploring other opportunities and they're investigating through AI chatbots and Reddit and social proof for other kind of like information. And that's where you want to gain visibility in those other channels. And you want to be cited and seen and trusted. But as it stands, almost 58% of Google searches never leave Google. Never. So again, you cannot be optimizing for this 40% of organic clicks because look at the full picture. There's a lot more. More than half, way more than half of Google searches do not click on anything at all. And of course, there's a huge correlation with when AI overviews were introduced. So we can see clicks going down as AI overviews were introduced. Again, it shouldn't be scary for marketeers. It should prompt you to want to do what marketing was intended to do in the first place. Getting to know your audience, developing content that literally truly solves for the problems and that provides value without asking for anything in return. Don't even ask for a click in return. Just give it to them straight. And then you'll see your visibility grow and your trust, and the community will start to engage more, talk about you more, etc. Of course, it's not as easy as it sounds, especially depending on the industry and the level of maturity of your audience in regards to educational aspects. But ultimately, zero-click search is on the rise, and that is a fact, and we need to adapt to it.
Well, actually, it's kind of interesting fact that AI is actually like refining the traffic that you get because they answer like all the questions that otherwise user will ask your I don't know,
Right.
support, your sales, or will look through your site, and it's not guaranteed that they will find the answer on your site for their specific questions. So basically, yeah. And also, while you were showing the data, I came across one question. Let's say I'm a CMO and my organic sessions just dropped, let's say 20%. The executives start panicking. And what are the first thing you look at before deciding whether there is actually a business problem or something else?
My first question is, are your sales declining 20% or is it just your clicks?
It's organic sessions. So yeah,
Yeah,
just
but it's great to know that data point, right? Like, it's important that your organic sessions are down 20%, but are your ultimate top level KPIs down by 20% as well? Is this drop in organic traffic, is it having an impact in your top level KPIs that you should ultimately be accounting for, right? The whole purpose as to why you want to measure traffic is to ensure that you have enough leads or enough sales or you have enough revenue, right? So the first question is understanding we need to remove this kind of blindfold that we have as marketeers sometimes as to just like optimize for this channel, or like, oh gosh, the clicks are down on this channel, or this campaign's not working very well because no one's clicking on it. And if you just remove that blindfold and think, can I take a look at the top level KPIs? Because you would be surprised. The amount of companies that I've talked to and other marketing leaders and sales leaders, even my own organic traffic is down and my sales have never been higher. So that's what I mean. Like, there's a lot in the consumer journey that you're not going to have access to seeing and measuring unless you, say, have access to Clickstream data or Semrush journeys, which is the product that I just showed you. So ultimately, you need to understand whether you're comfortable to make conclusions with very limited data and very limited visibility into your real world consumer journeys and act based on that, whether maybe it's worth for you to invest in acquiring more consumer behavior intelligence, whatever that may look like. For instance, SparkToro is a great tool for audience research, brands SaaS that's powered by our data. But what I want marketeers to kind of try and do mostly is just, I always don't panic. Like, the fact that the clicks are down do not mean zero click search does not mean zero value, right? Zero click does not mean zero value. You need to have a look at your top level KPIs and then decide if this is really a diagnostic problem. Is it more a cause and effect? Is it a symptom of something else? Or are you actually doing great from a top level KPI perspective? In which case, continue optimizing for really high quality content, expert takes, the EEAT. A lot of the best practices for SEO still apply to GEO and AIO. So again, focus on solving problems and providing value to your audiences, and don't panic from having a narrow mindset and assessing a channel as a standalone measurement. Just have a look at the bigger picture, because you may be surprised.
Yeah, that's true. And once we all realize that metrics can be misleading and the AI makes it even messier, some think that everything has changed, other think that nothing has changed. So I think that the truth is somewhere in the middle. And also, Belinda, to spice things up, I want to play a small game with you. I call this game True, False, or LinkedIn Bullshit. So I will be I will be reading you headlines. Some
Right.
of them are true, some of them are false, and I want to evaluate and comment on whether they're true or false and why. Okay?
Let's do it.
So I will be reading you one after another, and once I finish, once I read the headline, this is your turn to tell your opinion on it. So we will start with the first one. ChatGPT referral traffic to the web grew 206% over the last year.
I think that's true.
Mhm. And as of early 2026, ChatGPT enabled web search on roughly 1/3 of user queries.
Enabled web search on 1/3 of user queries
Yeah.
inside ChatGPT?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. 1/3 of user queries. I reckon I'm not sure, but I'm going to go with false.
Okay. And the third one is TikTok has overtaken Google as of the leading search platform for B2B buying decisions in the United States.
That has to be false. I want to believe that has to be false, but I could be surprised. Ultimately, TikTok, a lot of the engagements in TikTok are in-app. And therefore, I don't have visibility directly through a lot of my data into in-app. So anything could be happening there.
Yeah, so to check the results, the first tagline with ChatGPT referral traffic is actually true. So congratulations, everything is correct. According to this comes directly from Datos and Clickstream study that you've made. So it's between January 2025 and January 2026, the ChatGPT grew 206%. So the second statement is, as of early 2026, ChatGPT enabled a search on 1/3. It's also true. And it has found that ChatGPT invoked live web search on about 34% of queries. So yeah, this is
3 or 4%.
34.5%. So it's like 1/3.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and of course, the last one is false. It's completely made up. Yeah, TikTok is definitely one of the most important discovery platforms, especially for Gen Z. But yeah, there's no credible evidence that it has overtaken Google. So
No, especially for B2B, but no one really knows what could be happening, especially in certain specific markets. But yeah, it didn't sound right to me.
yeah, and also this is actually really the answer was already told by you earlier, but I will just want to emphasize on it. Why do exaggerated AI headlines spread so much faster than the nuanced search currently?
That's what we talked about, right? Just anything that provokes fear, upset, disappointment, sadness. Anything that essentially prompts a negative reaction or a negative sentiment in people at large. That's what tends to get spread out, because you're going to engage with it more. You're going to, without knowing, inevitably you're going to feed the algorithm and teach it that this is the kind of content that should be seen by more and more people, because you're going to be commenting on it, sharing it, discussing it, spending, just by the pure fact of spending more time watching it, you are already rewarding that content, that piece of content. So really, it's just a matter of combining somewhat dark psychology with knowing how the human psyche works. And then you have yourself an algorithmic recipe for disaster, in which misinformation gets spread really quickly and true news and accurate data or accurate statements go unseen,
Mhm.
sadly.
Yeah, that's true. And also, you describe the AI search less of a destination, but more of like a doorway.
Mhm.
I really like that idea. And this brings one important question, is that what teams, specifically maybe content teams, stop optimizing for immediately, like not improve, not rethink, but like they actually needs to stop doing? What do you think?
What should content teams stop doing right now?
Stop optimizing for, yeah, because like based on what we discussed about how AI search is not a destination, is a doorway, is like
Yeah,
actually like another step in the buying journey.
correct. Yeah. Equally, I mean, if we extrapolate that as well to marketeers and our priorities, our channels are distribution channels, right? So they're also a doorway. So we think of ranking on Google, or we think of, say, SEO and organic traffic, organic search as a channel, as a distribution gateway to get that traffic to where we want them to go. Ideally, say, our website or landing page. So equally, AI search, when you optimize for AI, you don't just stop at, oh, great, we're being cited now, we're being seen, I can measure it, I can show it to the CMO, and they're going to be great and they're going to be happy about it. Now, ultimately, you also want to be tracking like how much of that is actually converting into meaningful engagements, how much of that is actually converting into enhanced visibility beyond one specific AI tool or specific chatbot. Equally, how AI tools are a gateway, or kind of like a distributor for consumer journeys, you should also think of AI as a distributor and part of your channel mix. They're also part of your channels that you need to take into consideration when you are optimizing for SEO, when you are optimizing your content, your website, your technical SEO, and your keywords, your content clusters. All of that kind of work that you're doing and that you should absolutely not stop doing, that's also going to have a huge impact in enhancing your chances of getting seen, getting cited, and getting an AI tool to recommend you. AIO and the SEO principles, there's so much overlap. There's so much overlap. But really, what I want to just make a bit more of an emphasis on is what I was talking about at the beginning, that lazy content marketing really is over now. Like, it really is not going to fly. There's so much more competition. AI tools are so good at crawling all of the data that's out there and are actually parsing really quickly which ones have better backlinks and which ones have more of an authority score to them. Which websites should I be prioritizing over others? They get a constant live stream, if you will, of data based on what's happening on the web. And they can very much in near real time process a lot of external data signals to decide what to surface and what not to surface. And in this day and age, it's going to be very important that you have a very good authority score, that you have very high quality backlinks to your site, that your digital PR is on point, and Also, just engaging communities. Like I said, on Reddit has so much weight and it's getting so much referral traffic from AI tools. It's getting so many organic search keywords. Users are attaching the word Reddit at the end so often. So again, AI, optimizing for AI is not just an effort that's a channel specific effort. Of course, it's part of our channel mix. But really, when you optimize for every other channel, be it brand and paid search and organic search and SEO and organic social, all of those optimizations are going to also compound into getting your AIO efforts enhanced and absolutely just propelled. It's not something you can just do, let's do some quick tactics and get ChatGPT to cite us. It's more of a holistic approach because, like I said, the AI crawlers can access so much more data than probably what you're even aware of, right? So we need to keep that in mind. It's a compounding effort that spans every single type of marketing and every single channel of marketing.
That is true. And yeah, we should like stop thinking that creating more content is the answer. It's about building a better marketing system. And let's make it philosophical. And how do you think, like fast forward 3-5 years from now, what brands are going to struggle the most in terms of their marketing or just their positioning?
Brands that fail to use data to their advantage, I'd say. For instance, Starbucks, Netflix, what are they doing? Why are they doing it so good? How are they winning so much? And how are they doing so good marketing in the age of AI, in the agentic era? They're actually doing pretty similar playbooks. They're getting their own customers' data, utilizing it to their advantage, and hyper personalizing their journeys, be it in app or outside the app. And like they are trying to maximize the value out of their data that they have for their customers, because the more you know about them, the more you can personalize your touch points and develop hyper meaningful engagement points. So honestly, in a world where we are seeing that every consumer is pretty much starting to expect more and more personalization, and we even see this translating into traditional search. We're seeing that queries are getting longer and longer. And even traditional search is becoming a conversation. It's becoming conversational. To me, the brands that aren't able to maximize the value out of their own consumer data, be it their own data they have for consumers and knowing their preferences and knowing, okay, this person enjoys this product more, this person engaged with this product or this web page or with this specific content item. Let's personalize the journey according to all of the data we have for them. I think it's going to become increasingly difficult for brands that are failing to meet the consumers where they are. If we even see Google adapting to conversational style queries on traditional search, we need to be smarter and just acknowledge that consumers are more and more getting used to having their needs met in a very specific and personalized manner, be it on AI, traditional search, e-commerce. We are seeing queries getting so much longer in general. So say if you used to search for best TVs 2026, now we're seeing that users are searching for what would be the best TV to buy for my grandma. It's a birthday present and I don't want to spend more than $2,000, right? Like they're expecting that they're going to get a personalized answer to that. And they are getting that personalized answer. So in my mind, the brands that run the biggest risks are the ones that are unable to meet that requirement, which is now becoming very mainstream. And that's all about personalizing as much as possible based on what the consumer is already telling you that they like and there's already telling you that they engage with. So that's one that I think is definitely important to keep in mind. There's certain companies that may not be able to do that because of their nature of the industry. And in that case, it might be slightly different. But in general, if we think about the tech world at large, we need to get smarter on how to leverage our own data and what we know about our customers and our consumers.
Yeah, that is true, because even in support, like working with customers directly, I noticed that we are in need of very personalized approach, that we're no longer can treat our customers as regular people that are just coming to buy something from us. We see that each customer has a very, very specific request, and we need to align what we offer with this request. And sometimes it takes more than just sending the customer the link to their user cabinet, user profile, and tell him like, yeah, look at the filters, go through the inventory and select the best sites. Sometimes they need this tailored, personalized approach where we need to qualify their business, understand their needs, and prepare the list and all the nuances according to their requirements. But because, as you've mentioned, they can be very, very specific, and it is not possible to consider like each and every one. So yeah, that is true.
Oh, wow.
Okay, in this case, since we're talking about the real world examples, let's make it practical. Let's say you've joined B2B SaaS company tomorrow, and you can fix only few things in the first quarter. What would it be, and where do you start and why? Maybe you have the data that you can show us that will help make this decision.
Throughout my career, I've been in marketing leadership for 12 years. And throughout my career, I've had to start from scratch so many times across so many different types of industries and products and buying journeys and cycles. And one of the first things you really need to do is just assess and take a look at the data and just assess where we stand. That's always going to guide you at least to the most immediate, lowest hanging fruit. So if you do like a full funnel analysis and you're running a PLG business that's self-serve, but for B2B SaaS, and you see there's a huge drop off during a specific conversion point, or if there's a huge drop off after a specific time, or what are the percentage of users that actually sign up to a demo or sign up to a free trial and they just drop off or never even activated fully, never really engaged with your product. Honestly, just doing some funnel analysis is really important. There isn't really one general blanket rule of thumb of like, apply this and then it will be great. There's a few things that, of course, I can talk about that seem to be quite generic and seem to be the best kind of piece of advice that I could kind of give marketeers as a whole right now. And here I've summarized them in case we wanted to just discuss them a bit, like in more detail. So basically, just owning the facts. So publishing very highly relevant truth, be it research reports, like utilizing your own data. Even you might sit on a lot of data that you didn't know was valuable and that you didn't know could be translated into very good story for journalists, or a very good story for PR, or very good just FAQ sections for your own website. So owning the facts and optimizing both for humans and for AI. Let's not forget that optimizing for AI is not the end goal. Optimizing for AI is a middleman or middle ground to reach humans. Ultimately, humans are the ones making purchases for most of the time, at least for now. Publish comparisons. So, for instance, this seems to work very well. So, versus alternatives, depending on the industry, but say SaaS, they tend to get picked up and then they tend to be quite liked by AI because they essentially want to be fed this information because it's what the users are likely going to be asking them for. Like, what's the difference between this and this? And who has the best features between this and this? Or how much more money should I invest in this versus in this, right? That kind of alternatives are cited quite heavily, not just for AI, but also say journalists or media or like general just social proof and sharing. Earn reviews. Again, user-generated content platforms, really important. The importance of Reddit, I cannot highlight it enough. Reddit is becoming, I'd say I've seen so many real-world consumer journeys where they've gone to Reddit and they've not touched an AI tool. They haven't. Reddit is honestly, I'm upset that people are not talking more about Reddit. But we should do a whole different session on how do you get marketing on Reddit right. You cannot, of course, just post a link and just hope for the best. You get blocked immediately. You need to earn your karma. You need to build your karma. You need to talk about things that are nothing to do with your products, with your industry.
And how do you think, like, why Reddit? We have so many different social platforms. Why Reddit specifically became this trendy platform?
Yeah, Reddit's absolutely insane. So this is top domains visited from Google. This is Q2 on the left, 2025, and Q2 on the right, 2026 this year. Reddit is number 2. So if you had asked me 3 years ago, Belinda, do you think Reddit would ever overtake Facebook? Like, I would say absolutely not. This is pure insanity. Even 3 years, 2 years, maybe even last year. But yeah, Reddit is huge, and we constantly see it more and more, and it's just beyond just the rank. Just getting so much traffic from AI, from Google, from everywhere. Honestly, for me, my thesis, my personal hypothesis is that we're reaching a point where humans want to listen to other humans. We have done the AI opinions, and we've seen that they're not always super reliable and that they're useful for certain tasks. But at the same time, human connection is always going to be at the core of what humanity wants and humanity craves. And we want to hear real stories from real humans that have spelling mistakes and that have a lot of like personal details that you probably didn't need, but makes for good storytelling. And we want to hear about me, 27F, and so, and this is the relationship problem I'm having. Like, it's just, as humans, we're coming back also to our roots of sitting around a fire, sitting around a virtual fire and listening to stories. That's literally what we want. And the data is unmistakable. It's just literally heading in that direction. Of course, we're seeing ChatGPT rising to the top and literally above Microsoft. And of course, ChatGPT, AI in general is huge, but we're complementing that with the humanistic side of I want to hear real people's stories. And that's why community building, user generated content, engaging the community, engaging your customers, and also just being somewhat smart about doing your own Reddit marketing. But you need to do it in a very personalized way by someone that just loves your company, but is also happy to talk about cars and the best milk in the supermarket and whether this software product is good or not. And you need to be able to talk about everything and everything that interests you, and you can talk passionately about, not just your products and services, because you won't get anywhere with that.
Yeah, that's actually crazy. How the humanity made all this journey for the development of the tech, of the tools, the AI, how AI was created, and right now everyone all of a sudden wants back to their roots, to feel human somewhere on the other side. And yeah, I don't know about you, but there were so many times when I was arguing with ChatGPT or with Gemini or with any other AI tool, when I was sure that they are providing with incorrect information, with incorrect opinion, and I
Yeah.
was trying to tell them that you're not right. And yeah, these arguments, that they're very funny. And I also heard from my friends, from the people I know, that they having the similar situation when they are having the actual arguments with AI responses because they're irrelevant, incorrect, or not that they wanted to hear.
It's really frustrating. It's really frustrating. Yeah. And that's where you go to Reddit to offload and just say, I'm fed of this AI slop. And like, you're literally just posting it because you want other people to engage with you and to say, I had the same thing happen to me last week. It's so annoying. Or this is how I went about fixing it. I find it beautiful that in an age and era in which we are, quote unquote, right, in theory, the most technologically advanced we've ever been as a collective humanity, It's almost, I find it very endearing almost that we want to go back to our roots of like, I want to just hear real stories from real people. And also equally marketing is doing 360 and having to go back to, I want to do good marketing and learn everything I can about my customers so I can develop content that solves their problems without anything in return. I just want you to keep me top of mind whenever you have a problem that's similar to this. And I want you to remember my data or my reports or my content. I think that's beautiful in a way. And this just goes to show the duality that lives in us as human beings, that we want tech, but we want human connection. And the more tech we have, the more we crave human connection. And potentially in times when we had a lot of human connection, that's when we got very eager to develop more tech, right? And this duality always lives inside of us because that's what makes us human. But at the same time, I just think it's beautiful. It's a beautiful contradiction, and it makes a lot of sense. To me, it makes a lot of sense.
And actually, this was the question that I asked Kara Klangur on the conference on why people are still going to the conferences when they can watch them online, when they can listen to them, when they can summarize everything with AI. And his response was exactly like yours. People are craving for networking, for communication. People are craving for other people. So this what brings so many people, like hundreds something of people, to the conferences, to the different concerts and other venues that bring everyone together.
Correct, exactly. It's about the experience. And as marketeers, there's a lot of that we can apply to ourselves and to our strategies. Like, how do I build an experience? How do I build something that's lasting and meaningful and enjoyable? Not just servicing, solving a problem and that's it, but actually building an experience around it. That's where we get more into like engaging the community and building things that are meaningful, really. Yeah. I believe also we're just going back to a lot of the things that we had prior to this huge AI and agentic boom because of nostalgia and things that maybe remind us that we used to live in a simpler time with like where happiness was potentially at the reach of your hand a lot easier than now. But yeah, this is very philosophical for sure. I just love getting to the weeds.
Yeah, I feel that we could record the whole other podcast speaking about the nostalgia because 80% of my like social networks threads, they are filled with nostalgia. So yeah, I feel you. Okay,
Yeah.
Belinda, I want to finish with a rapid fire with you. So I'm going to shoot statements at you and you just need to like give a short answer, like no overthinking, no explanation, just from the top of your head. Okay?
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's go. Zero-click search. Is it a threat or a filter?
It's not a threat if done right. You just need to provide value to your audience.
Brand visibility inside of AI answers. Is it overrated, underrated, or misunderstood?
It's a mix of misunderstood and underrated for me. It's all about just getting to your customer where they are. If they're an AI, then you need to be there.
That's great. Okay, what is traffic without trust?
Nothing.
What is AI mentions without conversions?
Visibility, which is not a bad metric to track, is not a purely vanity metric. It means you're on the right path, but there's more to develop. And maybe there's just other problems to diagnose.
What do you think one metric that many marketers are still worshipping?
The click.
Click. What is one signal more marketers should finally start paying attention to?
One signal I start paying attention to. There's just not just one, but definitely I'm going to say Reddit. Reddit.
Okay. This will be like one of our taglines of this podcast. Reddit.
Insane. It's insane. And we're not talking about it enough.
Maybe we can. We can plan the whole other podcast about it as well. So we have already a nostalgia podcast. We have a Reddit podcast. So I'm just writing everything down. So
you know what? Let's just not do it online. I'll fly to wherever you are and we'll meet in a coffee shop and then we'll just like mail a recording, a VHS recording of this session to anyone that wants to watch it.
Yeah, this is so niche, actually. Wow, you really feel it. I like it. Okay, and the last one. What's one marketing opinion you've completely changed your mind about in the last couple of years?
There's been so much change in the last couple of years, but I'd say at the beginning, I used to feel that AI was a threat. Now I understand it for what it is. It is a tool to help you maximize your visibility if done right. Don't see AI as a threat, see it as your companion. That's what I would say.
That is actually fantastic. Okay, Belinda, thank you so much. It was amazing. Thank you for joining. And for everyone who is watching us or listening to Adsy Talks, if this conversation changed the way you think about search, about AI, about marketing in general, about measurements, metrics, if this something that changed your mind about, just shoot a comment about what was the most useful for you in this podcast, because today the click isn't the destination and it's just one signal in a much bigger system. So yeah, thank you so much and have a wonderful time.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much, Anthony. Thanks, everyone.
This is Adsy Talks.